Okay, so now we are starting with the while loops actually. Okay, this is what now we want to see, that what are the while loops. Okay, well, in some languages we call it do while also. Anyways, in Python it is called while loop. That's why you heard me saying do do while. Now this is actually conditional loop, guys. It's not like for loop where you give the instructions that your loop is going to run 10 times, 1,000 times. This is the condition. Here we give the condition, and irrespective of the the code you write inside that while loop, 3 lines, 4 lines, 10 lines, 100 lines, it is going to execute every time if the compiler finds that the condition is still true. For example, let's say that, again, let's start from the very basic. I want to print numbers, print 1 to 5. For example, this is what we want to print. We have seen this in for loop also. But in this while loop, how we are going to do? So we say that we can decide any variable, and we can say till the time I is less than equals to 5, and then the colon. I want actually the value to be printed. I want the value to be printed. Okay, this way. Now obviously I is less than 5. This comparison is not going to happen if we will not let the system know, the program know, that I actually is something, so I'm going to start the I with 1. Okay, now there is a problem in this loop, which is what? See, the thing is that this loop, generally when you, almost every time when you write the loop, please make sure that when you run the loops, recheck the code again. Because if the loop is created by you, maybe unknowingly by mistake, in a way that it always, when it checks the condition, it always finds that true, it is never going to exit. Like in especially in the for your this for loops, you have already given the instructions 5 times, 500 times, maybe 5,000 times. At least there that after these many attempts, the loop will exit. But in the while, you have to be very careful, because right now you see I'm saying that I has to be less than 5, but I is always going to be less than 5, because I is 1. If I just go and run this loop right away, right, see what is going to happen. The moment I run this loop, see this is not going to stop now, because the value of the I1 is less than equals to 5, and it keeps on printing the same number again and again, right? So we must go, and first of all, let me go and stop this. Okay, so what is that point we are missing? You see, I has to be incremented by 1, right? So I'm going to actually increment I by 1, or you can write I plus equals to 1, right, this way. So in this way, what happens, first the I gets printed as 1, and then I will be incremented, which is 2, and then 2 is less than 5. So system will check it is true. If it is true, it is going to print the value. So the moment you have 5 to 5 value changed to 6, the next time when the comparison is going to happen, your system will exit, your program will automatically exit. Okay, so if you run this now, you see that I have here 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So the program has ended. Okay, and as I said that, of course, you can write here, I can write here print program ended, right? So how many times this program ended will be printed here, if I ask you guys? How many times? Yes. No, 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 no. Who said 5 times? No, why 5 times? What are you talking? 5 times, are we writing this code inside the while loop? No. See the indentation. Okay, this is outside the while loop. Okay, so if I run this, this will only be printed once. But yes, if I go and write like this, now every time you will see this line. Okay, so again, I'm clearing your concepts. See this, right? So these are the very small things, and you have to go and understand the loops in this way. Okay, fine. Now again, so let's go and talk about that. So can we also, I mean, go and exit from this while loop? Yes, we can, if we want. Okay, for example, again I give the value called so let's say this time let's say x is 1. Okay, so this is our new code. Now let's say guys, I say that while x is less than 10, okay, less than 10 I'm saying, okay, we want to actually print the value. We want to print a value of x or whatever you want, right? Right. But at the same time, what I'm saying that, so when you're going to run this, when you're going to run this, every time when you have the value as x as 1 and then 2 and then 3, then if anywhere the x is going to be, let's say 3 or 4 or 5, you should go and break the code. You should exit from the code, for example. Okay, maybe I can set here some variable. So what I'm saying is that, let's say the variable is 10. Okay, the variable maybe 100. Okay, and now what I'm doing is that every time the y I'm trying to minus, okay, and I'm going to minus this by maybe, let's say 10. Okay, y equals to y minus 10 basically. So I'm saying that if any point in time the y becomes 50, if any time the y becomes 50, you should go and say that break. Okay, you should go and break the code. This is basically the plan. Okay, otherwise you keep on printing the value of x. Okay, so let's go and run the code, and let me first of all comment all these lines. Okay, so this is your code now. Okay, so the first thing is that x is 1, so we should have 1. At the same time, now y is going to be 100 minus 10. We are not printing the y value anywhere. If you want, you can print the value of the y also. I think that would be fine, right? So we can print the value of the y. So here in the very first step, we should see y as 100 and x as 1. In the next value, y should be then here the 90, and then x is going to be 2, isn't it? Right? And then 3, and then 4, and then 5. So the moment y reaches 5, or maybe let's say 70, we are going to exit from the code. I think this is our plan basically. Okay, so let's go and try to run the code. So fine, there we go. So you can see that I've got the code here. Look at this, guys. Wonderful. This is what we were saying, right? So this is for x, and this is for y. In fact, we can do one thing. We can say that is x is, we can write it this way, and then we can say y is, and comma, like this. Fine. And yeah, I think this is cool. So now let's go and run the code. So see that the moment it touches 80, the code is going to immediately break. So it's the same concept. Now the question is that which one is a better loop? See, I tell you, actually, most of the time I find that both the things, I mean, I can handle my project with while as well as for loop also. So I just go with the flow. It's particularly not, I mean, I generally use for, okay. But sometimes, you find that you are in a situation where only while loop is going to be utilized. Okay, because for is not going to make any sense out there. Okay, so that we will see, okay, as we move ahead. But the point is that both the loops are capable of doing lot of things. Okay, and the last thing which I now want to do is that you remember that last time we covered the project, right? So what happens if I have to do the same project using the while loop, isn't it? I think that's going to be good exercise. So here we can quickly going to just say that guess a number, right? So this is the entire project we have already created. So we'll not waste the time. I just want to actually switch this to now convert this to a while loop. So how I can do that? Well, if and else I think remains the same, but the only thing is that here you got to decide something. I mean, how you going to give the user uh, a chance to enter the numbers, right? 3 times as we said. Okay, so we can say that while x is less than equals to, and then you can write here the number 3. What do you think? Right? Or maybe, I mean, you can say that number of attempts, for example, number of attempts are less than equals to 3. So since I'm creating the variable so specific, I don't have to write the comments here. You know that this is all about this number of attempts. Now we can go and say that here, right? We can just say that this is going to start with a 1, okay, for example. Okay, or maybe let me do one thing. um, yeah, so fine, I think we should start this with the number of attempts. Okay, see, there are a lot of, always a scope of creativity in the loops. If I give this project to each of you, I'll find that all of you have, found a different way, different approach to resolve this, to complete this project. So in loops, always remember what I'm telling you is just for your fundamentals. Okay, but based on those fundamentals, the clarity, the concept, once you have that confidence, which this course is going to build in inside you, well, you're a free bird, right? You can create the program the way you want. All right, so here you just need to understand the concepts. So see, the number of attempts are this, and the number of attempts, now what we are going to do is, since the number of attempts I'm directly using, so I guess I can use the number of attempts here. Okay, this one, and this time I just write here number of attempts minus 1. Okay, is this correct or not? And yes, number of attempts should actually start from 3 then, right? It should actually start from 3. And this, I say that because the number of attempts, the first time it's going to be 3, and then 3 minus 1 2, and then 2 minus 1 0. Okay, so I guess we can say here that the moment you have the 0 attempt, okay, so I'm also thinking as I speak, right? So it should actually exit from the program. Okay, so this is a while loop. So let's see that. So what is going to happen? Number of attempt will be 3, and first time the 3 is not equals to 0, right? So if the 3 is not equals to 0, then I think the program will not get inside this because the condition is not true. So here we have to now go and um, you know uh, we have to write here uh, a different condition so that we can meet the expectations, right? Because right now, if I run this, I think the program will not run. So maybe we can say, I think greater than 0. I think that makes sense, right? And then here we say that the moment the number of attempts becomes 0, um, less than 0, we should write this. Okay, so I'm just guessing. I think this should run, but maybe I can be wrong. So let's see that. Let's just go and run this program. First of all, I want that I should get the input box, input actually. Yeah, so this is where it is. So I'm going to enter the wrong input, 1. You are left with 3 attempts. Okay, so now here, I think this is not correct. Okay, so why it is not correct? Because user has already attempted. Okay, one thing. And the second thing is that it right now it should actually populate here 2 attempts. So the point is that here the number of attempts, we should start with the 2 because the first attempt is actually a giving right away here. Okay, so no problem. We will again run. So in a way, actually, we are going to give them the give user a 4 attempt. Well, that's fine. Let's see that. Okay, so now it is 2 attempt. It is now you're left with 1 attempt and finished. Okay, so I think the code right now is running, but as I said that we should actually start first of all with 2. Okay, now let's go and see that again. So here I'm going to enter 1, wrong. You're left with 2 attempts, 1. You're left with 1 attempt, and okay, so there now we have a problem here. See this, guys. You're you're left with 2 attempts, and then I entered the one more attempt, and then you're left with 1 attempt, and immediately the code stopped. I didn't get actually the third attempt, right? So what is happening here? So now this is what we need to see here. Okay, so see, first of all, we have the 2 attempts, right? So here it says that 2 greater than 0, right? I'm just writing this for you. 2 greater than 0, which means that yes, 2 is greater than 0. So condition is true, right? So the code comes here asking you for the input. So here the code will say you have now 2 attempts left, which is correct, right? Then here, what happens? 2 minus 1, right? 2 minus 1 becomes what? 1. Okay. Then again the code goes here. Then you have the next value, which is 1, right? Because now the number of attempt is 1. Now 1 is greater than 0. Yes. Again, the code enters here, right? So you get here that you have one attempt left, correct? And then here again the calculation happens, which is 1 actually minus 1, which becomes 0, right? So when you go again here, 0 is not greater than 0 because 0 and 0 are equal. So basically this is where the code is now going to exit. This is where the code is now going to exit. And when the code exits, so here I should now write equals to 0 because number of attempt is 0, so that we can see the, sorry to this see you losing. Okay, this is the plan. Okay, so let's go and run this again. Okay, so yeah, so this is the first time we are going to enter number. You're left with two attempts now. Okay, which is correct, right? Sorry to see you losing. Better luck next time. Now this is fine, but one attempt is still left. So that's now this is where we have a problem. Now we need to sort it out because previously this line was not coming and now this line is coming, right? But we want that attempt, the third attempt, basically we are not giving to that person, isn't it? Right? So what is happening here? We need to just figure it out. So the thing is that, see, when the first time I'm going to run this loop, okay, uh, when the first time I'm going to run this loop, see, I'm guessing a number and it says that you have three chances. Fine, right? I press enter. You're left with two attempts. You're left with two attempts. It's correct, right? And now you're left with one attempt. Now one attempt is not coming. That's the problem. So we have to go and figure it out that how we can sort out this issue. Okay, so what if guys I say that greater than equals to, and then as we have written before, less than 0. I think this is going to sort out the problem because if I say greater than equals to 0, that when the number of attempts is going to be 0, then again this actually the condition will run, right? Because when I have 0, so 0 greater than equals to 0, it means that either greater than or equals to, so this condition will be true. So at that point in time, this will again go and push the code inside this. If you have to, I mean, see, it's all about condition. We just want to run this three times. If you want to use here another variable or whatever, I mean, the idea is coming in your mind, you can go with that. Okay, we just need to understand the structure. Okay, and let's, because if it is 0, then I expect that here it's here when the last time the code is going to run, so it's gonna be actually 0 minus 1, right? Which is obviously minus 1. So that's why I have written here less than 0, or you can write equals to minus 1 also, I guess. Okay, let's go and run this now. Let me see. Okay, so here's our first chance. So I'm just going to write here 10. Okay, you're left with two attempts. Okay, so now again let me go and run this. Okay, let's say again I write 1. Okay, now let's say that, okay, you're left with one attempt, right? Please enter the number. So I guess this is working because now it is asking me, let me just give you some space. See that you're left with one attempt. Okay, and it says, okay, give me that value. So I say 2, okay, which is again a wrong. Now let's see that. So you see that you're left with 0 attempts. Sorry to see you losing. Better luck next time. Fantastic. So this is working, right? If we run this and let's say I go and write the number, the correct number, I think it was 3, right? You won the game. You won the game. Okay. So, in this way, we can go and basically create this program. And before we wrap up this, I find one issue. It's not an issue, but I think it doesn't look nice. You see, please enter the number. Please note you have three chances for a guess. Well, which is fine. The moment I press 1, you still get the same line, right? You have three chances for a guess. Though user know that this is you are left with two attempts, right? But I think this should not come here. Three chances, right? So what we can do is, it's very simple. We can just go and you know uh, print over here that you will be given And please check the for loop also, okay, in case if you want to correct the thing over there, I didn't notice. So you will have three attempts, right, in total. In total, good luck. Okay, fine. So we can just go and remove this line from here. Here, I'm just going to ask the user, please enter the number. Okay, I think this is how it is. And you see that one more thing which I want to see here, that um, you need to guess a number. This is okay. Um and then please enter the number. Please note you have, well, this is going to be removed. Well, anyways, let me first run this. I'm thinking actually something else. So let me run this program. So this is the program, right? Okay. You need to guess a number. You will have three attempts in total. Good luck. Okay. I say one, right? You're left with two attempts. Please enter the number. I again write one. Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. You're left with zero attempts. Sorry to see you losing. Okay. Now, I have a question. In the last, when the attempt is zero, obviously when the attempts are finished, we don't want to actually say that you are left with zero attempt. It doesn't make any sense, because when audience know, when the user know that now he's or she's left with only one attempt, we are unnecessarily printing this. So how can we get rid of this? You're left with zero attempt. At the same time, we want, when there is some attempt, when the number of attempts are there, when they are still there, we have still chances, then we should print this. But when it is gone, it is gone, right? So how we can do this? So basically you have to actually go and target this line, right? So maybe you can say that under this if, over here, pay attention, under this if, can I not just go and write another if, and I can see if the number of attempts are zero, then I don't want this line to be printed. I don't want this line to be printed. Is it possible? Okay, can we try? Okay, so if I say that if the number of attempts becomes uh, becomes zero, right? Becomes zero, right? Then basically I don't want to do anything. Or I say that when it is actually greater than zero, okay, then I want this line to be printed. I want this line to be printed, right? Otherwise, what I want, otherwise, we can just go and write here else, like this. And let me, now we have to give some indentation here. It's, we can't do this in this way, so I put this inside this. Okay, yeah. So then I say that basically the number of attempts should be subtracted. That's it. Okay, in order to make that zero, because then the code has to go here also. Yeah, so this is my plan. I don't know if we are going to succeed in this, but let's check that. So let's run the code. Yeah, so I'm going to write a one, first attempt again, and then last one. Wow, beautiful. See that, guys? Yes, bingo. That's it, right? See, I enjoy when I teach you guys. You know why? Because I believe that doing the training in this way will clear all your doubts. So I'm not happy for myself. I have been doing this, I mean, from so many months. Maybe it's now more than years, right? I'm not happy for myself. When I get excited, I get excited because I believe that today you have seen something amazing. Okay, right? So you see, as I said that you can write the if conditions in the else also. This is a new learning for you. And I had no plans to cover this right over here actually. But it's a good thing that it is coming with the project. See, concept should be clear. Now you can't, I mean, go and write in this way. You will get the error, indentation error. I'm sorry, indentation error, right? So you have to just follow the fundamentals. Well, now there is another thing which I want to talk about here. Let's say that instead of the greater than zero, what if I say equals to zero? If it is equals to zero, then you want to avoid that. You want to avoid that. Then you have to go and cut this line. Then you have to cut this line, right? Because if it is zero, then you don't want to execute these lines. Then you will go and write the lines over here in case of else. So here, what are you going to do? Well, here, in that case, I think I will prefer only this line. That if it is 0, then you just go and execute this line. But for me, writing greater than 0, I think I was more comfortable in that. Okay, can I go and check this again? So let's try to run this code again. And this is the last time we are running. So I'm just going to enter here another number 2. You're left with 2 attempts, 2. You're left with 1 attempt, 2. Sorry to see you losing. Fantastic. And what if I crack this number in the very first attempt? So I'm going to write here 3. Oh, you won the game. Okay. And one thing I never checked actually, that what happens if you're trying to crack this in the second attempt or in the third attempt. I never checked that. Let's go and check that, guys. And I wonder, why didn't you even ask me? That's why, can you go and try to crack this in the second or third attempt? I think we never did that, right? Maybe the program has flaw. Who knows? Oh, okay. So I'm going to write now 3, right? Which is the number. Yes. Thank God it's it's working because we have already finished the loops, the for loops. Okay, one more time. Wrong, again wrong, and the last attempt. 3 or 4, whatever the number. Yes. All right, so with that said, guys, I hope you had a fun again, right? And so this is all about the loops. And yes, remember one thing, loops right now, I'm telling you, this is all just a basic, and you can say a little above the basic level. But the moment we will start the list and the dictionary and tuple and all that stuff, remember that those loops are going to give you a very make you very powerful programmer, because the way you can use the loops with those all things. List is another data type, as I said, then arrays, dictionary, all that functions, we have a long way to go. So basically from that moment onwards, we will start working with the practical data. We will start taking the data from external sources, and then we will create the projects. Okay, so the loops are going to be used there also. This is just, I can say, our first step towards learning the loops. Thank you so much.